All right, so this is the second in the series of videos talking about CSS rules. I've made the first video about @import, and it lets you import CSS documents across between styles, between CSS, from one CSS document to another. So the next one we're going to talk about is the @font face rule. And what this does is it lets you define a font that is not on the user's computer. As you know, when you're working in CSS, you call a font family. That font family has to be on the user's computer. So for example, if I wanted to call Apple Chancellery on a user's computer, if you hit that page with a Macintosh, it'll probably show correctly, but it won't show on a Mac, or I'm sorry, on a Windows machine or a Linux machine. So if I want to be guaranteed that that font is going to work and it's going to work on every user's computer, what I can do is actually download a font. And so I've gone out here to a website called thefont.com, and I found this Old London font, and I've downloaded it. I've also downloaded another one. And so really what you do is you just download it, and I'm going to hop over here to my hard drive, and here's another one I downloaded. So here's Rainbow Dreams, and here's the font. And so what I've done is I've just grabbed the font, and I renamed it, and I dropped it into my web folder. So this is the web folder that I'm working on, and this is obviously my CSS that I was just looking at in Sublime. So I've got this font, and I've got this font here called Old London A and Old London underscore, and I can actually call these fonts when they're on the server, and make it show up in the user's web page. So I'm going to go to my rules.css, and I'm just going to go and get that font face. Let's see here. Go to the font face rule, and I'm going to just copy this, borrow this code right here for the example, and I'm going to paste it. One of the things to keep in mind here is order of operations. So if this style sheet is before this font face, this style sheet cannot call this font. Does that make sense? I guess that makes sense. And actually what I can do here is actually I cut that, and I'm going to go right into my style sheet of my document. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to just put it at the top here. So if this is the first page, first CSS document that gets loaded or gets called from my web page, and so I'm importing it here. And then this is the first style or first rule in my CSS document. That means that the order of operation means that this is first, right? This will be loaded first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to import that font, Rainbow Dreams. And that is an OTF file, OTF. And so I've got my OTF file, and I'm calling to that font, and now what I need to do is actually use that font. So what I can do here is I can say, look, any H2 tag should have a font family of, actually let's name this something useful, Rainbow Dreams. So I'm naming that RBD. And so now I would call it just like I would a normal font. So I can say font family RBD, and then let's make the size nice and big here. So let's say font size, I don't know, 60 pixels. Okay, so the thing to keep in mind is, of course, is you've got to upload all of these fonts. So right click on it and upload it. And right click on that one and upload it. So now it's updated to the server. All right, so obviously it doesn't mean much in your Sublime browser. Let's go have a look at it. So here's my default web page where without any style sheet to it, reload this, and now I have set that. And let's see here. Never works the first time. Let's close this. Okay. It's always fun. Let's see, save that, save that, save that, refresh. There we go. So here is my Rainbow Dreams font in my browser. Now you notice that I did not install this on my computer. I didn't double click on that font in down here to install it. I didn't have to because I'm using that font through the web. So don't install any fonts. You don't have to do that. It's all done through the server. So you basically just get this onto your web folder, your main web root, push it to the server, and then name it. Now, good practice, you know, we could make a fonts folder and take these and drop it in just like you would with CSS. And we'll just go up here and upload that. Fix my style sheet, so I'm telling it to look. You can wrap this in a quote either way. Seems to work, but I always feel safer doing it in quotes. So now nothing should change here. I should just really refresh this, and there we go. And so I could change. Now if I want to do this again, I'm not sure actually. I can say font face. This is going to be Old London. Let's spin that down. Have a look. OLONDON underscore. And so now I can say in my HTML, any paragraph is going to have Old London as a font. And I'm going to leave it there, leave it that size. So now this paragraph should have the Old London. And there it is. Let's make it there we go. Old London. So now I've defined a font and I'm displaying it on the user's computer. Every user that hits this web page, every client that hits this web page should see this font just as I see it here. Okay, so that is the @font family rule.